Hey y'all, Sim here with another video, and today is PTB time. Alright, it took me a couple days to get to this video because I wanted to at least try all the changes before I kind of speak about them, because there's a lot to go over, so let's just kind of get into it. The first major change, the FOV settings. There's a new option in Dbd. Players now have the ability to adjust their FOV or field of view, so basically now killers will have base kit Shadowborn if they should choose to use it. There's a slider option in the beta where you can kind of adjust it, so really good change. That's an amazing change. I always like Shadowborn, so for me to not have to use it, and if I didn't use it, it would feel really weird, so this is a great perk for me and many others, so this is awesome. Of course, with Shadowborn being changed, we have certain perks being adjusted as well, so FOV perk updates are as follows. Shadowborn now does not increase FOV. When blinded by any means, you will get a 6, 8, and 10% haste status effect for 10 seconds. Now, I don't think this is going to be as good as Lightborn, but it could make for some funny speed builds, maybe combine it with Hubris and During, maybe you can get some quick downs, so I think there's going to be some potential with this perk. I do think Lightborn is probably still going to be the better flashlight counter, but still pretty cool stuff. Next up, monitoring of views. This perk has pretty much remained the same, except now the FOV was removed. Maybe they should have added something else to this perk, maybe, I don't know, a BP bonus or anything, but it's fine. I'm more of a survivor main, so I didn't use this perk as much, but I think this change is okay. Now, the generator system update. This is a big change. No longer can survivors tap gens. You have to get 5% of the progress on the gen before it stops regressing, and the killers can now kick for 5% damage up from 2.5%. So the killer's buff has been kicked. Survivor tapping has been nerfed. Now, the killer can only do 8 regressions on a generator. So that means it includes like Surge, Pain Res, so 8 regressions, and then you cannot regress that generator anymore. Now, I'm curious, I haven't really gone into a serious 3-gen situation, but I think overall this is going to be a good change. The killer buff I think is fine. I think 2.5% was pretty much like useless before. It was really little, so I think this is fine. We'll have to wait this change out to see how it really goes, but I think from what we're looking at right now, it feels okay. It does feel good, so I like that change. Alright, here's some affected perks. First up is Hex Ruin. It will no longer deactivate when a survivor is killed. So with the new gen regression changes, I do wonder if Ruin, Dying Light, Pentimento, Thanatophobia, stuff like this will become more meta as opposed to like the actual like pop, pain res, these things. I'm curious because yeah, I don't know if that's going to affect the regression. So pain res does not create a loud notification if no progress is lost on the generator. It's fine. Oppression only causes a regression event on the generator that was kicked. Makes sense. And overcharge, only the initiating kick counts as the regression event. Alright, moving on to the content. We have Alan Wake, new survivor. Seems pretty cool. Now, I've never played Alan Wake. I actually plan to. It's currently in my Steam cart right now, so we're going to play some Alan Wake coming up. But right now, don't know much about him, but still, I like the survivor. The voice lines are really well done. I like his style. And I think his perks are actually not too bad. So let's take a look at them. A lot of people said his perks are kind of underwhelming, and I thought somewhat the same at first, but after actually playing the game a little bit, I think they're not too bad. Champion of Light's very powerful. So when you're shining a flashlight, you have a 50% haste. That means while you're shining the beam, so you move faster while you're holding the beam. When you successfully blind the killer, they also gain 20% hindered for 6 seconds. It doesn't stack, but this effect is very strong, and then it goes on an 80, 70, or 60 second cooldown. So the 20% hindered for 6 seconds, you will get a lot of distance if you blind at a window, pallet, or just get any blind off on a hook, a flashlight save, anything like this. You're going to get a lot of distance. So this perk is very strong. I would expect a lot of Lightborn when this goes live. Boon, Illumination. So this perk at first I thought sounded really boring, but actually I think it's a very powerful solo queue perk. It's not going to be like the top tier type perk, but I think it is good solo queue. When you bless a totem, you are going to see all gens and chests, and this is just perfect. It's like a built-in deja vu for all your teammates. So I think this is actually a pretty good solo queue perk. Now finally we have Deadline. I think this perk is okay. Very niche. So what it does is it allows skill checks to appear 6, 8, or 10% more frequently and repairing or healing in random places. So you'll get more skill checks, but they'll be in random spots similar to Doctor, and the penalty for missing skill checks is reduced by 50%. Now I can see this pairing with Hyper Focus, Stakeout, or maybe Autodidact, but it's going to make skill checks harder, and grades can already be tough enough to get in succession, so I think this is going to be a very, very niche perk. A very few survivors will take advantage of this. The ones that do may like this, but other than that, I don't think we're going to see a lot of Deadline. I think we'll see more, probably Champion of Light the most, and then Illumination probably next. Alright, here's the biggest change we have, or at least the most exciting change, the Hillbilly. Overheat is totally gone. Hillbilly has been super buffed, and he is so fun. I hope he goes to live exactly as is. I don't think he's too overpowered. He feels really fun to face and fun to play. I actually do think the Hillbilly is now easier for newer players because they won't have to worry about bumping into things as much. The cooldowns aren't as bad, and you won't have to overheat or worry about overheating. Now, overcharge is definitely a blessing, but it can mess you up. Like, you have to relearn a whole new muscle memory. So now you have to have your regular muscle memory with the chainsaw plus your overdrive muscle memory. So it's a big change. So pretty much everything was changed with Billy. Chainsaw sprint movement speed increased, decreased hit chainsaw cooldown, decreased chainsaw miss cooldown, increased movement speed during the chainsaw miss cooldown, decreased the size of the collisions, which is huge. So now you can actually curve a lot easier because you're not going to bump into as many things. There's still a few problem areas, but actually overall they did a really good job. Finally disconnected the chainsaw sensitivity from controller sensitivity. Baseline sensitivity was set to 100% of the controller sensitivity. This has been a bug for all of time, so that's interesting they finally did fix this. So yeah, special state overdrive. So after you use your chainsaw for a certain amount of time, you'll get overdrive for 20 seconds. It increases your chainsaw charge speed, sprint movement speed, and chainsaw cooldowns reduced. So this is very, very good. It's very nice. It's fun. The blue flame looks super cool. So honestly, giant W from behavior on Billy. So for add-ons, they've pretty much all been changed. We're not going to go through them too much here, but they did a really good job on the add-ons. You have you actually have different playstyles. You can do Drift Billy, you can use the carburetor, you can go more stealth, you can do curves. So I think Billy add-ons, pretty big W. None of them really are, I think they did a good job here as well. So all the add-ons seem fine. I think really good stuff here. So next up we have the Onryo. So another change in the Onryo. I don't mind Onryo, but I just did not like her style before, where you could teleport and you just gain stacks globally. So I do think this is a better change. Overall, you're going to have to be more aware. You don't want to be near TVs all the time when she is teleporting. Now when you get hooked, your stacks get locked in, which is pretty scary. So if you have 2 stacks, you get hooked, you can never lose those 2 stacks. So you really want to try to keep up on the tapes. Hold tapes. When you do get hit, you won't gain stacks either. So the tapes are going to be very important. So so far, I think it's a good update. I still haven't faced as many Onryos. It's been mostly Billies and Blights in the PTB, but I think this is a decent change so far. I'm curious how it plays out. It definitely makes her kind of scary, so you got to think a little bit more when facing her. So changes of the VHS tapes is very important. They no longer grant protection from gaining condemned. Survivors no longer gain condemned if hit while holding a tape. Survivors no longer lose their tape when attacked. And survivors must bring their tape to the furthest TV. So her add-on there is basically become base kit. So it's kind of scary there. And retrieving a tape now takes 1 second instead of 2. So you do get the tape and put it away faster. So that's definitely good. I don't play a lot of Onryo, and I haven't really faced that many. So I don't want to talk too much about the add-ons here. But I think they did an okay job with her. Now coming up with Blight. Very interesting changes here. Somehow Blight has the craziest plot armor I've ever seen. I honestly think they over-nerfed the double speed a little bit. I don't think that was his most problematic add-ons, but that's fine. But now, the Iridescent Blight tag, you get infinite rushes. And you can combine that with Compound 33 for insane turns, free J-flicks, or you can even use the Alchemist Ring and have really long rushes. So I think the Iridescent add-ons need a little bit of a look at. Other than that, I think Blight's fine. I like Dbd having some strong killers. Before, it was really, only Nurse for a long time, so getting Blight to be strong as well. And maybe Billy, although I don't think he's going to be quite as close as these killers, but yeah. So I don't know. I think his Iridescent add-ons need to be looked at. Other than that, I think he's fine. I really like Blight, so I don't want him to get too nerfed, but at the same time, his add-ons definitely still need a little bit looking at. I'm not sure what they were thinking about with the Blight tag, the Iridescent Blight tag. Okay, now we have perk changes. First up, Quick Gambit. When you're chased by the killer, see the auras of gens within 36 meters. Survivors working on a highlight gen will receive a 3, 4, or 5% speed boost to the repair action. I never use this perk that much, but honestly, I do wonder if it could combo decently with the new Boon perk. Probably more of a niche thing, but could be an interesting combo. Save the best for last. So with Save the Best for Last, you become obsessed with 1 survivor. Earn a token for each successful basic attack that is not dealt the obsession. Each token grants 4%, used to be 5, decreased successful base attack, so that's been changed a little bit. And you can earn up to 6, 7, 8 tokens. So now when the obsession loses a health state by any means, they lose 2 tokens. You cannot gain tokens as long as the exception is sacrificed or killed. So honestly, right now, Plot Twist really counters Save the Best for Last. You can make them lose 2 tokens every time. So I don't know, I never used this perk that much. I think this is an okay change. We'll still have to see if it needs to be worked on a bit more, but for now, this is fine, I think. I think Grim Embrace is the biggest perk change for killers, for sure. It's become really strong. So the new functionality of this perk is, Each time a survivor is hooked for the first time, you gain a token. When you leave a 16-meter range of that hook, all generators are blocked for 8, 10 to 12 seconds. So this is insane. Just blocking literally all generators is very, very powerful. And upon reaching 4 tokens, when you leave a 16-meter range of that hook, the entity instead blocks all generators for 40 seconds. The Obsession's aura is revealed to you for 6 seconds. Increased times added proximity clause. Then the perk deactivates. So I think we're going to see a lot of Grim Embrace. I think it's really good right now. That initial gen block is going to be a really good slowdown for a lot of killers. So finally we have our map updates, which is Mount Ormond. Now I did play Ormond a few times. I didn't notice much of a change. There is a new tile, which was interesting. I'll still have to play around that a bit more. The front of it was changed a little bit. It's a bit more open. There seems to be more filler palettes, but I don't see a big change. Honestly, the biggest change from the new tile is probably that there's a hook in the second floor of main building now, which is really going to help a lot of killers out, because obviously main's quite strong. So if you down someone there, if they had boil over, even without it, sometimes they could wiggle out. So, and also you just have to waste a lot of time to reach the hook. So I think this is a great change. That's pretty much it. The rest is just some bug fixes. We're not going to go through all of these, but I will say this PTV has been one of the most fun I've ever played, and I hope it goes through to live just as it is, maybe with some minor tweaks, but yeah, honestly, huge W patch. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll have some more to come soon. Love y'all.